everyone. I am here today again this week because I have done another show just a couple days ago, which I haven't even posted as yet. But I felt the need and the urgency to come back because it's very disturbing, the story we are going to share with you. My very good friend Laura, which you have seen several times on my show, had a very unfortunate situation happen this week. And it leaves me pondering, have scammers infiltrated our entire infrastructure? When you've heard Laura's story, you can decide. But she actually applied for a job on LinkedIn, got the job, and she will tell you what happened, what ensued after she accepted the position. Laura, welcome back, although it's not for a fun show today.
Right, that's absolutely sure. But it's good that we're doing this because I want people to be made aware of what happened. And especially because it's they're using real names, prestigious names, they're using schools, they're using teachers and people who are looking for jobs who are already in vulnerable positions looking for jobs, and then they are then used for scam purposes. And what it seems like this one was actually alleged money laundering. That's all we could figure out. I've contacted agencies. I've spoken to my bank. I've talked to
Laura, can you hold that? I don't mean to interrupt you, but I would like you to share this story in detail as it unfolded. Simply because, as everyone knows who has watched my shows, that my main reason for doing this, all of my journalistic efforts are toward humanity, toward protecting and improving the lives of humanity in any way that I can. And since I am not a billionaire, the only way I can is by trying to bring truths as we have researched them and proven them so that people can be aware and make the choices that will hopefully result in the best outcomes for them. So I'm going to start back with Laura, and she will tell us how she found the job and how the entire employment, quote unquote, employment unfolded. So Laura, let's go back to the day when I was in Soho in Manhattan having a wonderful day, walking around with my daughter, shopping, my favorite thing to do, and you called me and go, I got a job. And I think it just made my day so much better because Laura, although hasn't been employed by someone, has always been employed by herself and her friends, me included, because she's such a great person that if you go to her with a problem, she finds a way to find you a solution, which is why it's not fair that this has happened to her. But as most of you say, life is not fair. So Laura, you got this call from these people. Who called you and who told you you got the job?
Well, first, if you want me to do like a timeline, I've been applying, through my platform on LinkedIn, looking for, I'm a teacher, homeschool teacher, ASL teacher, have teaching certificate out of California, have always been in the teaching field. So I applied on February 26th because I went back to research when I applied for the job on LinkedIn platform. And it was from the school in Manhattan, and it was called the Baruch, Baruch, High School College Campus. And so that everybody knows, it's listed as 55 East 25th Street, New York, 10010. So what you usually do is you check and make sure that all the T's are crossed I's are dotted. I submitted everything. And then I heard back from them that they had received the application. So the regular email, and they were going to get back if I was in a short list of candidates. I get an email back saying that I have met that short list, but I needed to have an interview, and then I went on to do an interview, a questionnaire, had to fill out a questionnaire as to how I would conduct a classroom, an ESL classroom. It was a very, very, I mean, it took some time. There were quite intense questions to understand how I, take care of a classroom, how I take care of the students, how I relate to the students, how I pinpoint what the problems or vulnerabilities are, everything varies. So I was quite thorough, as I usually am. And it had asked me to submit the answers to the questionnaire as quickly as possible. I proceeded to do that. So this was all through the month of April that this occurred. And then, so that means that from February, that's why I didn't realize, like, when did I apply? Because it took from February 26th to then when I got a response, which was in April, beginning of April, went through all of this for about a month. And then I get, I have another interview, then I have another phone interview, and just a very long process, a month and a half of all of this, right? So you're
Can
thinking,
I
if it's,
interrupt with a question
yeah,
that if I don't ask you now, I'll forget?
yeah, go ahead.
How did you feel about the people interviewing you? Were they articulate? Did they sound like they were legitimate educators, people who would be working in the school?
Yes,
Did you
yes.
ever
So
get
I
any
was in
red
touch
flag?
with, what I assumed, because she is listed as the principal of Baruch High School College Campus. The name was Alicia Perez Katz. Then I interviewed with a David Sanchez, who is also listed on the staff directory. Then I dealt with the payroll secretary after my employment contract, which was a Carol Kei Zhuang. I don't know how if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Also listed on the staff directory on the Baruch High School website. This is a legitimate school. So I checked everything to see that the people that I was dealing with were actually on the website of the school to which they're represented. My offer came in first, which asking me if I was interested, because they wanted to extend the offer, and they told me what those points of the offer were. And then they also attached the mission statement of Baruch High School, like who their students usually are, things of that nature. It was quite a long document too. I don't remember exactly the number of pages attached. I review the offer. I actually send it over to have the offer reviewed as well by a family member who has worked in these industries before. All the T's, cross the I's. I go ahead, accept the offer. It was signed. I signed it, countersigned it, sent it off. And then I am contacted. I get my congratulatory, they'll welcome, help be on board, everything, everything, just step by step by step. And then I have a point of contact. She's this Carol K. Zhuang, who is listed on the staff directory, and she tells me, she also congratulates me, and she says, since it's a remote position, which is what it was a remote ESL teacher, they needed, supposedly, according to the job description, help because the on-site teacher was inundated and there was an influx of students that needed more help academically to be able to meet the English that was demanded in the school. Baruch High School is a college campus, is listed as part of the CUNY government schools. It goes under the superintendent Beetleman roster of schools.
Can you tell people what ESL For
English as a second language. We have, of
those people
course,
who don't know, yes.
right, right. In ESL is English as a second language, and which is not unusual because you are dealing with New York. It's a state of many migrants, right? Like in California. So, very much up my expertise because dealing with people of different cultures and how to approach the American language and all of that. Anyway, so back to the timeline. So, accept the offer, sign, countersign. So now they have my signature. Then I'm told that they need to set me up to be able to do the remote classes, but because of privacy, I cannot be using my own computer and my own internet connection, and I would have my own printer. So they would set me up accordingly. That's also not unusual when you do work for institutions remotely. They do ask that, you have a dedicated computer. I know I have a son who's a software engineer. He has a dedicated computer for his work. So have many other people. So that didn't ring any alarms for me. And then I'm told that usually the school purchases the equipment and then gets sent out to, my home address. So they asked me for well, they had already actually had my home address and name because that was on my employment contract. So they had that information. And then they told me that they were preparing an invoice so they could see what equipment I would be getting. So I knew exactly that. And because they've had previously, this was what is told to me by this Carol Kai Zhuang, that there had been a previous misappropriation of funds by previous employees. So in order to have a paper trail, the I would be issuing payment to the computer store that or the provider of this equipment, but they would be depositing the funds into my account to be able to cover those costs. And I said, well, I would rather, usually it would be the high school to purchase that equipment and then send it over. I did check on this modus operandi with people who are employed, and that was also not a red flag because people have used this provider, Micro Center. That was the invoice from Micro Center. I have a contact name for that as well. And that's where the invoice was coming from. It told me exactly what equipment was going to be. So then I received from the principal, the person who had hired me, Alicia Perez Katz, she sends an email stating this is the amount that needs to be deposited. This is the invoice of how much everything is going to cost. Please mobile deposit it and then go back to Carol once you have confirmation that the deposit has occurred. The amount was for 4,000. Well, I have it right here actually. $820. I checked the bank to see if the bank existed. Bank existed. I have the name of the institution on the check, routing number, how the check number gets placed, everything signed off by.
What kind of time frames are we talking about? You accept
We're already into my employment was to start on the 26th of May. I'm doing this all beforehand because I
okay.
need to have the equipment prior
Yeah.
to that time to be set up according to them for training. I had 2-day intensive training to once my equipment would be set up. I said, listen, if you need this equipment to be set up and it needs to be on a dedicated router provider, I'm going to need some help to make sure everything is seamless. And they said, no problem. That's why we go through Micro Center because they are capable of doing that as a provider. So you will be having that assistance. I go ahead, deposit the monies into my account. The only thing they asked me, which was normal, I thought, is that, like anybody, if they're going to deposit the funds, right? The name of your bank, routing number, and account number, right? I gave that, never had to give, I must say, never had to give my social security or anything like that. Deposited the monies because I have a good banking relationship. Of course, I got immediate credit. However, I'm always very cautious whenever I do anything in banking. And she sent me an instruction that just to be on the safe side, to first Zelle over a $500 trial amount for those deposited funds, their deposited funds, the ones of the mobile deposit. And then once we were sure that the micro center had received the first 500, or this actually the contact name of that provider, I'll give that to you also so you have it for this podcast. The gentleman's name or contact name to which I was supposed to send the first 500, as well as after the confirmation of that, the further amount. The name was Mines, Mines, middle name Ayesha, Iyesha.
That's a
Last
woman's name. It's a
Mines, I don't know. Morris, Morris. The phone number that was given, because when you have a Zelle, you have a identifying handle to it. It could be your email or it could be a phone contact. 404-933-8578 was the number that was given. I never got it. I never did that. Once I got the funds, I said, because I was traveling and there was a time differential, I'm actually in Tuscany right now. So I said, when my wits are about me, because this is late at night for me, and I'm going to do it in the morning calmly when I don't make any mistakes and so forth and so on. I think because the delay actually worked in my favor, because I didn't proceed right away, and perhaps that's what they expected. The following morning, when I went to go and do that, which would have been New York morning time, right? I decided, okay, this is the right time. Banks are open, everything. And if there's any problem, I can also talk to the gentleman and confirm that the Zelle has been received. No problem, right? Go ahead, go to the bank account, my bank account, to do that. There is a reverse chargeback on that mobile deposit showing on my account. I thought that's kind of strange. So I send a message to Carol and I said, with a screenshot, the funds that were deposited that you gave me to deposit with that check have reverse chargeback. Right away, I get a message back. It stated specifically, and I should state verbatim. She mentions, I apologize, but I had to contact our account officer to reverse the deposit. We've had instances where employees attempted to misappropriate funds, and yesterday's situation felt similar. Additionally, you did not inform us as to that the funds were available until roughly 15 hours later, and you failed to send the funds even after I provided you with the salesperson's information. Since I wasn't sure about the situation yesterday, I had to take the precautions. Otherwise, I would have been fully responsible if anything had gone wrong with the funds. I could understand her, how do you say, her
concern.
anxiety or stress or whatever. And I said, I'm not sure if David, which was David Sanchez, who I had interviewed with, and Mrs. Perez-Katz told you that I am overseas. I apologize, but I also need to be careful since I am overseas and need to be sure everything is done correctly and not hurriedly when it comes to my finances. I tried calling you and Micro Center, but to no avail. She goes, I completely understand. It was only a precautionary move on my end since communication yesterday was a little slow. I apologize for she's apologizing to me for the inconvenience this may have caused. I said, no worries. I will be more than happy to follow through today. I also apologize if there was a disconnect on my side. She goes, I will send you a new check again this morning. I get the new check, same amount, same, everything is still normal as the first one, just a different check, of course, from the principal, Mrs. Alicia Perez Katz, saying in the email, Laura, I apologize for the inconvenience. There was a misunderstanding on our, I understand, so I'm sending you a new check. Please deposit it and follow through. I go ahead, and since I have time and it's not the middle of the night, I said, okay, I'll do this now and then I shall proceed. As this was somebody was looking out for me. That's all I can say. I deposit the check, and right away there's a hold. This check will be held for 7 days. It will be a 7-day hold.
Who sent you that message?
My bank puts a 7-day hold on that mobile deposit of funds because the first one got instant credit, but then got reverse charged back. Now I'm again depositing another check for that same amount of money. A bank is going to be
red flag, red flag, red flag.
Yeah, cautious for the bank, which is good, thankfully for me. But I sent a screenshot and I said, please be aware that this check will not clear for 7 days, which it states very clearly, will be able to be released as of May 21st, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, because I'm a California, I'm not a New Yorker. I'm on PST, and my bank is in that part, part of the United States. Alerted her, sent her the message, Carol, please be aware. If anything changes, I will alert you to the fact. I do my due diligence. I check periodically, even on a Saturday. I send her a follow-up message. I don't think these funds are going to be released until that 21st. It seems to be steadfast. Please be aware. No response. I said, okay, maybe it's a weekend, whatever. I go on to do this on the 21st, noting that I have let everybody know. I look at my bank account and they have again reverse charged back this amount.
Is that when you became suspicious? No, you still weren't suspicious at that point. Because
I was starting to get a little bit frustrated with the whole situation because, first of all, I have stellar, a relationship with my bank. I've been there with for a long time. Never had any chargebacks. Never had anything. Insufficient funds or bad checks. Nothing. So I was a little disturbed by this, and that I was going to request the high school, this Baruch High School, to then issue a letter to my bank to clear my account because I didn't want other people, when I deposit their funds, to have to go through a hold because they've created this scenario. Do you follow?
And if I may insert something, at this point, she called me and she told me what was going on. And in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, sounds like a scam. So I said, Laura, have you checked out this school? Have you checked out the people? She goes, yes, all the dots connected. It's a reputable school. And so I kept thinking, is there a way that someone can, I even asked her, I go, is there a way someone could have duplicated the school's website and is using it? Because I get letters from the IRS that are not from the IRS. There's a dash or a dot in the email that will differentiate, but the average person probably misses it. And so they think, and that's how people are getting scammed. Which is why I feel the need with urgency to do this show. And I'm hoping if you watch it, you share it with other people, because I always say, and don't do this for fame. I could give a rat's, what about fame? I want to help people. And
Mm-hmm.
since a lot of you are looking for seeking employment on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn and similar platforms, I think it's important that you share Laura's story to bring awareness. If you get hired and they want to be sending you money to buy equipment, I would hesitate immediately and dig deeper before I give them all of my
Mm-hmm.
personal information. So, Laura, continue.
No problem. So thank you for that, Jenny. What I'm saying is, thankfully, I didn't have, if they had asked me for more personal information, maybe I would have been a little bit more hesitant. But what I'm saying is, every step that I took, I didn't just go ahead and do, I shared with other people who are employed right now. Is this not, because this is not something. I've always worked for myself, always worked remotely. I'm seeking to expand my career objectives because I have the ability to do so now. I didn't before. I was caretaking, family obligations, but now I don't have those. So it allowed me to just focus a little bit more on my career. And I want to be in the education network and sector because it is going to change, as we've had many shows, where about revamping education, right, Jenny? So back to where I was. That check had a hold. I informed, didn't get a response, went to do it. The reverse chargeback is there. Send a message,
So, you
Carol, this
had
is
two reverse chargebacks. Two.
correct. True. For the same amount, right? This one had the hold. When the reverse chargeback showed on my account, I immediately contacted Carol. Do you realize this has happened? Blah, blah, blah. You should have at least given me the courtesy of a message stating that, you were going to do this because you couldn't wait for the hold, whatever the reason, or your needs have changed, budget cuts, whatever the case may be. Not a text back, no response, nothing.
Even now, you've got nothing.
No, nothing. But so then my antenna is going up, right? Who knows? Maybe, who knows? But I don't wait. So I thought, well, when you talk about duplicating the site, not here in this case, because I was never given a website necessarily to view. I searched my own. I actually had others search it as well, see if the school was actually there. So this is not a website that they provided that I had to go to. If you Google Baruch High School College Campus, it shows up. It shows up at that address, everything about it. It's there. And when you go to the staff directory, all of these names appear with their titles as I supposedly interacted with them. But let me get you to the good part of this. So I decide I'm not waiting on a message because this seems kind of strange. I call the school directly. Phone number on the internet. 212. I don't have it with me right now, but I can search it. But the 212 number, I call, I choose office, I get to the office, I ask to speak to Carol, and I am given to a woman. She picks up the phone. She goes, "Hello, this is Carol." She identifies herself as that, and I go ahead and I said, "Hi, Carol," not thinking anything. This is Laura and Gino. I'm the new hire for the ESL position. I bring to your attention because I messaged you, and I gave her all. She goes, "We don't have an ESL position here at the school." I said, "I understand you don't have an open ESL position at the school because I'm the new hire. Miss Alicia Perez Katz hired me for that position." And she keeps repeating with heavy, sorry to say, very heavy accent. I don't know, Vietnamese, Chinese. It's very
Oh
hard to
my
understand
God.
her. I don't want to, but I'm just saying, it's very hard to understand her. Maybe I'm not being clear, so I accentuate and, really repeat again. Now,
Can I interrupt really quick with a
yes,
question? Was that the
Mhm.
first time you spoke to her? You have never spoken to anyone before this. Everything was just transpiring via email and text until
No.
you called. You spoke to her before?
No, not to Carol, because Carol was the payroll person for this part of
Ah,
the employment. I had
right.
spoken to previous people before during the interview process.
But
So during the
never
interview
Carol.
process, there was no just messages and questionnaire. No, I had a phone interview, Zoom interview. You follow what I'm trying to say? So,
My
but
goodness.
this woman specifically not. So she was my contact via SMS because that was how, hello,
Did you
Laura.
get the feeling that she knew what was going on and she felt
Yes.
like,
And I'll tell
so
you why.
she felt like she got caught with her hand in a cookie jar because none
She
of
never
them had
expected me.
anticipated you looking up the number and calling them. So
Yes.
this sounds like an organized scam happening out of a reputable school. I mean,
Yes.
listening to the details, you have to call a spade a spade.
And
Find
I'll tell you
what,
why why that is the case.
tell
Because by
us.
me calling and her telling I'm Carol and then me explaining, if you aren't involved and you have done nothing, you would say, "Excuse me, Miss Angino, I don't know who you are. I haven't spoken to you before. Please tell me what's going." No, she's spooked. And I said, Carol, I don't understand what's going on. Please let
Oh
me
my
speak to
God.
Miss Alicia Paris Katz, the principal. She puts me on hold, right? Let me go and check. Phone hangs up. Listen to this, and you know me.
I thought the
I'm
police
like a
is going
dog
to
with a
go
bone.
in.
You know me, how I'm a dog with a bone. I'm on you like white on rice. I call right away
You call
because
back.
okay, could have been
You
a
call
disconnection.
back?
Yes, right away,
Okay.
right away.
And what
No,
happened?
okay, because I'm thinking, well, that's kind of strange. Maybe it disconnected on my part. That's what you would do,
Yeah,
right?
because you're in Italy.
Right. So let
So
me call
very
again. No problem.
possible.
No,
Right, right,
somebody
right.
else answers the phone. Different person. And I found out later that was the aide, and in the office. And I asked, I was on the phone with Carol. May I please speak with you? We just got disconnected. Very rude. And Carol just stepped out of the office. That would you? I mean,
I
and
thought
then
that the
I said,
police will go in and start doing some work in this school.
yes.
Sounds
Then
like
I said,
scam
okay, I'd like
center
to
to
speak
me.
to Alicia Perez Katz because I still have not identified myself. So this new person answering the phone doesn't, I'm sorry, she's in a meeting. Okay, please leave a message, my name, Laura and Gina, blah, blah, blah. She takes down.
You should have left a
What?
different name. You shouldn't have left your name.
No, no, but this is what I'm trying to say. If they were innocent, if Carol was not spooked, if she had gone out of the office, she would have called and say, Miss Lorangino, I understand you called. Can you please tell? Right? Wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
But she didn't
she
call.
told them to screen her calls because she knows they're busted.
Yeah. Guess what
Unbelievable.
else? Guess what else? So then I thought, that's very, very strange. I said, well, and then we talked about it, and you said, well, it's a government school. One hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing, and they don't really need to follow up with anything because nobody gets fired on these government jobs. And so they're right. This
So,
is
Jess,
that.
if you're watching, I was just trying to tell her something to make her feel better because she was clearly upset and it made me sad. And I do know from experience that bureaucracies are some of the most poorly run agencies in our country. They don't speak to each other, and I know this from experience. So I was trying to justify the madness so Laura could feel better while we try to figure out what was going on, which is why I said it could be that the departments are just not communicating because we had already established this is an authentic institution with a website and names listed that she's been communicating with. Carry on, Laura.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And, like I said, that the fact that there are in government places, they are run inefficiently, we give them the benefit of the doubt. I kept calling also the number that I had for this David Sanchez. That phone number never went through to anything, would always say, I'm sorry, you reached a number, not that has been disconnected, but it would say, is not reachable at this time. And he's listed as a teacher as well, so could be, because you're involved in teaching, you can't answer your phone, da, 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 da. I try again, give it a little bit of time, call again. Now nobody answers in the office.
And this is a school.
This is a school.
This
and I
is a
check their
school.
office hours, and their office hours are within the time that I'm calling. I can understand if it's after office hours, but it's not. It's during office hours. And I keep calling 2 or 3 times. Nobody ever answers.
You know why, Laura? Because you are calling from Tuscany, and they could probably see the area code you're calling from, and they probably told their staff, do not answer calls coming from this number.
No, because the number that I don't use a Tuscany number. I use my T-Mobile VPN when I call and do everything. People don't
But
know.
does the number change every time you call?
No.
So that's what I'm saying.
Oh, that means no, but it's not a Tuscany number. It's that phone. Oh no, but I thought about that too. You dial 67,
and
then dial the number, and there's nobody answers. Nobody answers. Because you can hide your number when you call by doing 67, right? I think 67.
We're running out of time. What happened?
Okay. Anyway, so nothing happened. So the following morning, exactly when the office opened at 8:15, 8 this time, I call. Somebody else answers the phone. It sounds new, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I would like to speak to the principal. I don't even ask for Carol. Alicia Perez Katz, right? And she goes, oh, I said, is she in the office? And she goes, yes, she's in the office. Listen to this one. So then I said, okay, could you please let her know I'm calling? My name is Laura Angino. I'd like to speak with her, blah, blah, blah. She takes some information, writes the name down clearly because she couldn't get the spelling, puts me on hold. After some time comes back. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Alicia Perez Katz, she's not available at this time. I said, well, can you have her call me back? I would appreciate that. Yes, yes, yes. And then she hangs up the phone.
They're all in on it.
Yes.
She never called you back. What the? What the flying kite is going on in this country?
But Jenny, do you follow what I'm trying to say?
If
you're going to call and now I know because I called then the Baruch College, which has a financial crimes number. And there's a Sue Pringler listed as one of the points of contact. I call her on a Friday, this last Friday, yesterday.
Friday.
At 5:55. She picks up the phone. Hello, and I said, is this Miss Pringler? She says, yes, yeah. Normal person. My name is Laura Angino. I need to speak with you about a matter, blah, blah, blah. She goes, no problem, Miss Angino. And I give her a little detail. She says, listen, could you do me a favor? I have to send a fax right before 6. I'll call you right back.
Never called you back.
No, she did. This is what I'm saying. What a normal person who is not involved, who is innocent, right? Which is what I should have expected from the Alicia Perez Katz, if they're not in on it, from the Carol, if they're not in on it. And I told Miss Pringler, I said, the same way you called back, wouldn't you give the courtesy of a phone call back to say this woman has called, something's going on? Like you just did. She goes, you're absolutely right. Now she goes, I'm on the college side. I'm not on the high school side. Give me about a week. Let me figure out I said, listen, she goes, did you lose any money? I said, no, that's the point. It was actually, I was actually told when I explained the situation that this is how money laundering is done. They wash the money that is illegal through your account.
Okay, so you got scammed by money launderers. What else can you call this?
Alleged money, we can't
So,
say
so did you call
alleged
the
money laundering.
police?
Okay, yes. So I went on to the New York City, file a report online. First, you have to do the account. I'm actually I did contact the superintendent of the Manhattan schools, which is Beadleman's office. I left a message. I left another message for at different agencies in New York that handle, because I did a deep dive, left messages there. I'm going to be now following because I have to for my own protection for identity theft, or because now they have my signature. Thankfully, they don't have my social security, but they have my signature. They have where I live. I don't know. So I took all my precautionary measures, but I am going to file the police report. I don't think I can do it online from what I can see. I have to actually talk to a police officer because it's not considered petty crime, petite larceny, there's something actually going on. And then I did
Can
file
I
with the Better
interrupt
Business
you?
Bureau.
Can I interrupt you? I am
Yes.
getting a download.
Mm.
This is an organized crime, and people, it's just intuition I'm getting. That this is an organized thing that's been going on for a while, and you were selected to expose them.
Oh.
I was just told that. And Laura, I believe
Mm.
it, because knowing you, you're your own police.
Well, I just,
You does not leave stones unturned, and I's without their dots and T's without their crosses. So
yeah, I
I
was told,
believe this.
Laura, put your lawyer cap on, put your other cap on, and go at it. And we are doing that, I'm sure, but I am going to follow through with all the agencies, at least get it out there. And I did already file the whole report with the Better Business Bureau. I filed an FTC complaint. I'm going to be doing that for the internet crimes as well. I'll keep going at it. Of course,
I
when you,
hope they all get arrested because you know what? It's enough, enough people. This is happening on LinkedIn. Is there
yes,
any place in the world now where people are not getting scammed? Seriously. I
LinkedIn should be following its due policies, procedures, and screening who can put
Well,
up
you need to
jobs.
call them
Oh,
too.
yes,
You,
I am
you
going
need
to.
to add them to the list of people. I'm going to post this video on their website, but I mean, they don't know who the hell I am. They probably won't watch this. So you want
Mhm.
to directly contact them, and you should send them the link and say, look, I've shared the story in detail on this video. Please
Yes,
watch it and see what was done to me. Because you
yes,
can't, and by the way, guys who are watching this episode, Laura literally spent all of yesterday
yes.
handling this. I came
The
home from
fallout
work,
from this, the
yeah,
fall.
dealing with the fallout from this experience. I came home last night, East Coast time, about 6:30, and that was the first time she was eating something, and she sounded completely emotionally drained. And this infuriates me. This is my educated friend. What is the average person who doesn't have the savvy to deal with these situations? How are they? Clearly, these people have been doing this for a while and
Yes.
getting away with it. It's just this time they picked the wrong person.
Well, and I think the delay that was placed on my, for whatever reason, thankfully I was being protected because it could have been that, just who knows? I don't know. But the
You should
fact.
also notify your bank because you don't want to have your bank relationship altered over
No,
scammers.
no, that's why I say I did everything yesterday. I didn't finish until it was 1 a.m. over here, so we're talking 9 hour differential here. I'm 9 hours ahead. So I did all of that. That's why it took me a long time. Now I'm following with the due process of the legal ramifications in terms of reporting the crime. So, and also because this is money washing.
Of course, I work in a financial institution. I take classes about this. That's what it is.
So if you run the
They're
money
using
through.
people They're using people's bank accounts to launder their dirty money. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I really hope they take them down. Too much of this, too much.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think of
here
how
looking for,
bold-faced.
yeah, look, Jenny, I'm out there looking for a legitimate position to at least pay it forward with the skills that I have. I don't, the money is not that important. The important is our youth, right? And to be able to give them all that they need to move forward and be successful in life in a landscape that is going to be dominated by AI. I want to parlay my experience into, and this is then what I get.
So
I
we
have
have
to
to wrap
worry
because we've been going over 45 minutes and people don't want to watch the videos if they're
yeah,
too long. But listen, Laura, I am so sorry this has happened to you, but I'm glad it happened to you because I know it will get stopped now.
I
And
hope
I
so.
am sure that this has been going on for a long time. But think of the breast balls these people have to use a reputable school that is
Uh-huh.
affiliated with the government to do
And
this.
a platform and a legitimate platform like LinkedIn where people or professionals that are applying to positions, right?
Think of that. Think of how ballsy you have to be to do that. Well, hopefully they'll be castrated and those balls will be removed because this cannot continue. They cannot continue to do this to innocent people. And thank you for watching. If you know anyone looking for jobs on LinkedIn, please share this video so that people will be cognizant of what is happening even when you're looking for a job. And
Yes, you're already vulnerably putting yourself out there, then have to be vulnerable to these kind of personal attacks. It's
think of if someone offers you a job when you've been looking and looking and looking. I work in a financial institution, and there are two young men working there who graduated with bachelors and all these fancy degrees that this world looks for to give you a job, and they can't find anything for 2 years. And they have school loans. So think of that feeling you get when you have been looking and you get a job doing what you like to do. Think of the feelings. I felt so bad when last night I had trouble sleeping because I could feel Laura's pain because it's a violation,
yes, yes.
and no one likes being violated. So we will keep you guys posted. We will come
Yeah.
back and let you know the outcome when we have one.
An
Thank you
update.
for huh?
An update, right?
Yeah, we'll come back and give you an update. And thank you for watching. And we will be back when she has an update on this topic to share with you. Bye.
Hi, thank you, Jenny. Thank you.